We've got a shocking 16,000 jobs that were lost due to California's $20 fast food hike up from $16 an hour. They jacked up their minimum wage, losing literally thousands and thousands of jobs. Here's the real kicker. They're looking at doing another one. Let's get into it. Here we go. So since the last time I covered this, what was this? A couple of months ago, December 15th, the $20 bump up was estimated in December at 6,000 jobs. Now we've got yet another 10,000 that we can attribute to, well, this isn't going in the right direction. But let's keep going down this crazy train. California could see another fast food minimum wage increase. Will it pay off or cost jobs? I mean, this is exactly the kind of stuff where you're like, okay, you've already got the numbers in place. You know what has happened. Why would this fast food wage increase hourly? Why would this do anything other than what the last one just did that we're in the middle of? Yeah, I don't really know. But let's go ahead and consider one anyway. Let's watch this.
California minimum wage for fast food workers again. But could another wave of increases drive out businesses and workers out of the job? Many business owners around the state, including one right here in Fresno, are speaking up against the proposed idea, saying they are barely surviving as is. Almost a year later, and California's Fast Food Council is considering another potential minimum wage hike.
The living wage in California is over $27 an hour. So when we talk about folks making $20 an hour, they're still under the living wage in California.
In a recent
Doesn't matter. The real issue is these businesses can't afford to pay their people more, period. They will eliminate those jobs. They'll go to automation. They'll run businesses elsewhere, but they can't do it here in California. We're already proving that with 16,000 jobs lost. Yeah, can't get you the hours you need. Sorry, you're fired.
Leading business owners around the state oppose the idea.
The domino effect is real and inevitable. Proposing yet another wage increase would cripple thousands of small business owners like us. I strongly urge the council to reject any additional wage increases for fast food workers.
We are all starting to get into a hole where we're losing restaurants in California.
Javier Gomez, a Fresno business owner of Capriati's Sandwich Shop, stands by those opposed of another wage increase for the same reasons. He says he is barely surviving as is.
Knowing that we're going to have to take another increase on the minimum wage, we had to make some dramatic changes. Did we cut back on hours of operation? Did we cut back on our menu items and increase menu remain that we remain?
More cuts to jobs, hours, and employees. He says a wage increase will affect those who it is supposed to be helping, and the cost of living will just skyrocket even more.
My current employees have multiple jobs. They said, I can't live just with 4 or 5 hours. I'm getting 3 or 4 days a week. I have to go out there and get another job.
Another issue was also brought up in the discussion.
The entry-level people are not designed to be able to have the livable wage because they need to have at least 40 hours of work. Restaurants don't have the luxury to give everybody 40 hours of work.
Research studies that have been conducted land on both sides of the aisle on this issue. One study says the minimum wage increase has a negative impact. Another study says it has a positive one. Gomez says,
all you have to do is drive up and down the street and you'll see restaurants slowly. You see stores boarded up. You see vacant buildings, and that should be a really black eye to the community and a very eye-opening for anybody out there thinking the restaurant industry could support another.
But what you've got is you've got liberal politicians who think, you know what? Workers of the world unite. We need to get them a raise. Let's give them a raise because this is going to be socialist utopia when that happens. Meanwhile, back in reality, shocking 16,000 jobs lost. By the time California Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law $20 minimum wage for fast food workers, He had been warned by many that it would be devastating for the industry, but he did it anyway. Because at the time, that was the go-go. That was the charge, right? All right, we're going to get an equitable playing field for all workers. And then you're fired happened, right? Due to his policy. Now, 16,000 fast food jobs have been lost. Fast food prices are up more than 14.5%. And here is why. The $20 minimum wage harms California's least skilled and least experienced workers, as they are no more productive, but are significantly more expensive, and results in harms the business owners as well. This is not hard to figure out. You're jacking up your expenses. You're not increasing revenues anymore at all. It's a 25% wage increase. This one was. I mean, it's nutso. It's nutso. But you got a bunch of liberal Democrats who believe, well, if we just give them a raise, the whole thing will just prosper and flourish and we'll have that big kumbaya moment. And that just never comes. Well, if we just do one more price and one more labor increase, let's go to $25 an hour and we'll just see how that happens. Because as you heard the one guy say, $27 an hour is a minimum living wage. That doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, not everybody's going to be making livable wages. They're just flat not. That's not how this works. And yet you've got people on the left saying, oh, we can't have that. That's un-American. And what's un-American is not really following the laws of capitalism. Because when you go outside of that, businesses close, people lose their jobs. And like the guy said, storefronts become an urban blight. Like in downtown Seattle, you've got a big block of area in downtown Seattle where the vast majority of ground level, street level businesses that have been there for years and years, decades and decades, are now empty. You've got storefront after storefront after storefront that's empty because of policies like this. Not because necessarily in Seattle you had that huge wage increase, but you've just got progressive policy that doesn't work. Go ahead and let, decriminalize drugs, decriminalize crime, let people live wherever they want, let them live crap on the sidewalks. It should all work out. Well, come to find out that people don't want to go to businesses in those areas, and those businesses are closing down. My last podcast, Cheesecake Factory in downtown Seattle, even though it's a handful of blocks away from the Pike Place Market that has 10 million visitors a year. Got a location within walking distance to Cheesecake Factory, American restaurant, right? And they're shutting it down in Seattle because it's pretty dangerous. They won't come out and say that. That's the only reason, right? You got a bunch of nut jobs running around. And nobody wants to have that, hey, did you hear about the guy who got his throat slit at Cheesecake Factory? What kind of impact do you think that'd have on sales? So when you've got a store that isn't making as much money as it should, and it's in a known location where you've just literally got whacked out, drug-addicted mental patients running around with machetes. Yeah, machetes, that's a regular thing. It's not that hard to make that decision. We're going to shut down that store. And literally, Seattle Cheesecake, they decided we're going to shut down downtown Seattle, where you've got millions and millions and millions, 25 million people, something like that, to downtown Seattle every year. Million. And you're shutting down a cheesecake because the liability is too great. Yeah, that's what it's come down to. That is progressive policy in action that does the opposite of what people want it to have done, which is let everybody just live in the Shangri-La and it'll all be good. This week, new data released from the new Bureau of Labor Statistics Quarterly Census of Employment and Wages shows that California has now lost as many as 16,000 fast food jobs. Bureau of Labor Statistics Quarterly Census includes mandatory reports from industry's employers. Employment Policy Institute reminds us that this data set is the gold standard for economists and has been lauded by even Newsom's favorite economists as the best on-the-ground look at sector's economic situation. New analysis from this 16,000 from law signed in September 23. The data includes mandatory reporting from all fast food establishments. So, here's where your numbers, it's just a slow burn downward, right? Do we have any upward swings there? Okay, got April and May. April and May, maybe you've got some seasonalities there. I don't know. But doesn't look good. Percentage of fast food jobs lost. I mean, it is avoidable. That's the thing. It's avoidable. When you get into these minimum wage deals, you're going to lose far more jobs and you're going to lose far more business than the net gain you would have by having a handful of people that were at 16 that are now at 20, but can still no longer make it in California. So, you got to make some decisions on, if you're a business owner, kind of where you want to be, what you want to do. And California is not it. Bill 1228, which signed into law October 23rd by Gavin Newsom, it went from 16 to 20 bucks. The increase to $20 minimum wage for fast food workers went into effect on April of 2024. The propaganda coming out of Newsom's office and the whatever is completely out of touch with reality, said Rebecca Paxton, research director at the Employment Policies Institute. The data definitively shows thousands of jobs have been lost due to this harmful policy, and hardworking Californians are left feeling the burden. You know what? The folks that aren't necessarily having their jobs on the line, those consuming fast food, guess what? You get another fast food wage increase coming up. Your fast food's going even higher. And fast food has been one of those things that has been hit repeatedly, right? Inflation has just had its way with fast food. All right, here's some fun facts that I know you'll enjoy. Study by the Berkeley Research Group found that menu prices have increased 14.5% due to the $20 wage hike. All right, so that guy, bussing dishes and serving people and working at the front counter, he's eating some fast food, so he gets a wage increase and he just puts it right back into his fast food budget. All right, that's great. That's nice. After the implementation of the $20 minimum wage law, an EPI survey found that a majority of restaurants say they had raised menu prices 98%. 98% of them had raised prices. Reduced employee hours, 89%. Reduced, not increased, reduced. Because they're getting the same labor output, it's just costing them more. So they're going to have to take it from somewhere, right? Limited employee shift pickup or overtime opportunities. 73% of the businesses incorporated that. And reduced staff or consolidated positions. 70%. 7 out of 10 businesses cut staff, consolidated positions. All right, you and you guys used to do separate jobs. Now you take it. You're fired. And that's what you got going on. Additionally, a majority of restaurants surveyed said in 2025, they will have to continue to raise menu prices. 93% of them said we're going to have to jack up prices, reduce employee hours, reduce staff or consolidate positions, and limit an employee shift pickup or overtime opportunities. Almost unanimously, 7 out of 10, 8, almost 9 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, 9.3 out of 10 decided these are things we're going to have to do. So you throw in yet another one on top of this. I mean, I don't think that'll happen. I really don't, because right now you've got Gavin Newsom. He's got his new podcast, right? He's got his new podcast, and he is starting to make some turns so that he will be more palatable as president of the United States in 2028. Don't be surprised if some of the stories and some of the moves you see Gavin Newsom make, he is pivoting more into the center, because by following the far left with the whole trans right, should boys be able to play in girls' sports? Well, come to find out, the vast majority of Americans don't think that should be a thing, and they believe girls should compete against girls and boys should be able to compete against boys. And Gavin Newsom has picked up on that and understands that the Democrat far left has gone way too far left, and nobody's voting for Democrats as a result anymore. Those positions are basically untenable moving into the 2028 elections. They're a loser. They're an absolute loser. Absolute loser. Just like supporting Hamas terrorists in the form of pro-Palestinian protesters and, basically a whole bunch of anti-Semitism, that's all on the hot seat right now as well, too. Because you've got these people that are out, you got people in Seattle, you got a whole bunch of Tesla trucks got burned up over this weekend because you got a bunch of nut jobs on the far left dictating policy, telling everybody what's what. As we speak, they are tearing up the Black Lives Matter Plaza. They're just, boop, it's gone because that woke go broke thing happened. And we're getting rid of all the woke stuff. Target, yet another boycott, this time from a black pastor who said they're giving up their DEI. So these big companies that have swayed one way or the other with the wind on how political, things were back in 2020, it was the fentanyl Floyd era, right? All right. All cops do is murder black people. All right. Let's protest against that. And then we've got the whole, ridiculous protest after ridiculous protest where now we're protesting Elon Musk. Like, what is wrong with you people? But hey, you know what? Go ahead. Keep on protesting because while you're protesting and effectively doing nothing, Republicans are doing work. Yeah, Doge doing work, cutting that budget, cutting all those GMOs that are supporting and funding all of this absolute ridiculousness in the streets of Seattle, streets of Portland, streets of San Fran, streets of LA. Anytime you see one of these knucklehead protests, they're funded by some far-flung, operation of George Soros. Yeah, the guy that Biden gave the highest award to not that long ago, right? For his strong help in the American people. And all he's done is just support a bunch of attorney generals who let criminals out on the street willy-nilly with no real concept of how that could possibly affect public safety. So you got a lot of these storylines going on, and I say, hey, protest to your heart's content. Go for it. Because all you do is you make the left look bad because you're a bunch of lunatics. You're not working. You're protesting. Nobody pays attention to that, and especially not the voting public. So watch Gavin Newsom work his way away from this, and I think he will probably not go for another one of these bad boy increases because the data's already in. We just saw 16,000 jobs. He's not going to have another one of those chips on his resume, I don't think. The beauty of doing this on a podcast is we can always look back and go, hey, you said that. What happened there? Yeah, and then I have to own it. But almost guaranteed, we're not seeing another price increase because Gavin Newsom is focused on issues that get him into the White House. Winners. Like people on the right have been proclaiming for a long time. Those issues. Yeah. Protecting girls in girls' sports. No balls in the women's stalls. Those kind of things that Gavin Newsom is taking a real beat down for right now. He's not standing in solidarity with the trans community. No crap. That's a loser of a vote. Time to move on, folks. Move on. How'd that work out in that last election? Not all that well. So I don't think we'll see another one, but the impact of misguided socialism, for lack of a better word. Socialism works for those who don't. And we're seeing this in action. We are seeing this in the numbers. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.